Yeah, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Sir,
Okay, fine. So today we will be doing a simulation. So I will show you. So there is a website called app.circuitdesigner.com where you can simulate due to some other works and different classes. I have really no time to share the link, product link, but I will make sure that today I will definitely share the product link uh, from which you can purchase this Arduino Uno. So as of now, you can do the simulation. There's a website called app.circuitdesigner.com. Here we can do the simulation. So first I will explain you the basics of embedded C program. Later I may ask you to share your screen so that maybe in the upcoming session so that uh, you can also understand better. So this is the code part. Just assume like as if you are programming in Arduino IDE, the software we have installed, right? So there we need to do this kind of program and then we need to upload this program into Arduino Uno. So here there is a simulation also given. If you really program this code in Arduino IDE and if you upload into Arduino Uno, so if you give power supply, if you just turn on this Arduino Uno, how it would function. So that can be simulated over here. So this is the run button, start the simulation. So I will tell you the basics of a program like embedded C program. So I hope you have some basic idea about syntax.
sir, I've learned C language basics.
Yeah. So you know there are different data types, right? Like integer, floating values, right? So there are different kinds of variables. So similarly here, even in the
Yes,
Arduino
sir.
programming, we will be using some constants. So the variable name that we have used here in this program, there is no such kind of strict rule that you need to use the same name, but this is the naming convention. So if you just observe, the first letter usually beginning with a small letter. You can find here LED pin. So if you're merging two different words in framing a variable, so it is a standard convention that the first letter. Uh, yeah, someone trying to join the meet. Yeah. So while declaring any kind of variable or else a constant name, the reference, the naming standard, the default naming nomenclature. So it is a standard that usually the first letter begins with a small letter, but it is not a strict enforcement that the first letter should always be small. You can literally give whatever the name that you want, but by default, as a standard practice, usually whenever you are merging two different words, the first letter usually begins with a small letter, and the first letter of the second word usually begins with a capital letter, just like this LED pin. So LED is a different word and pin is a different word. When you just combine them, so P is the first letter of the second word is usually taken in uppercase. This is the default nomenclature, but it is not a strict enforcement. So you can name it however you want, right? So yeah, here we have declared, here we have taken a constant and the data type of the constant is integer and the variable or else the name of the constant is LED pin. And we have assigned this is the equal to assignment operator and the value is 8. So why we have declared 8 here that we will see in the simulation section where we'll be doing the wiring thing or else in the design section. Here we will check, I will tell you why we have chosen 8. So now the second we have taken one more constant that is blink interval. So I already told you, let's say during the introductory session itself, we discussed a case where we need to blink an LED at a particular interval, right? So always remember whenever we are defining any interval in Arduino programming, we define the time frame usually in milliseconds, not in seconds. Okay. So usually we declare that the time interval in milliseconds, not in seconds. So the first constant is LED pin for which we have assigned the value 8. It is a constant. And the second constant is blink interval for which we have assigned the value 1000. Okay. Yeah. And then in Arduino programming, there are two inbuilt functions. One is setup function and another one is loop function. So this is setup function and this is loop function. So just as the name suggests, it is very easy to differentiate the functioning of setup and loop functions. So before I explain void setup and void loop, these functions, so what do you think the difference could be? Let's say if we have placed some instructions in void setup, or else if we place some instruction in void loop, so the same instruction, so what could be the difference in execution if it is placed in a setup, or else if it is placed in a void loop? So any guesses? We have a same instruction and we have two inbuilt functions, void setup and void loop. If the same instruction is placed inside the void setup, what could be the execution, the difference between if we place it in a setup or else if we place it inside the loop? What could be the difference in execution? The same instruction.
Sir, in loop, I think it will continuously go until the infinite times.
Yeah, perfect. So if the instruction is placed in void setup, the instruction will be executed only one time, only in the beginning, whenever you power up the module, or else if you press reset button again, the instruction, I mean the program starts executing from beginning, right? So whatever the instructions presents in inside the setup, void setup, get executed only one time during the beginning, during initialization process. And whatever the instructions inside the void loop, they execute indefinitely. I mean, it's like an infinitely they keep on executing, repeating the same instruction. So now, this follows the sequence of execution follows the line by line. First, this line will get executed, then after this line, then this line, and again this line. So once the four lines got executed, again it begins with the first one. Again, so the same process, the cyclic process, again repeats indefinitely. So the instructions keep on executing again and again, but it follows the same order as we defined, as we declared inside the void loop. So I told you one thing, so that there are total 14 pins, right? 14 digital IO pins, and there are total 6 analog pins. So I will show you the analog pins on the module. So you can find analog pins here. It is mentioned analog. So these are analog pins. You can find it over here. And here you can find a few more things. These are power related pins, right? This is the VN, that means a positive power supply, and this is ground. Usually we in battery we have a plus and minus, right? Similarly, this is the VN and this is the ground. So different modules, usually they do not only put only one ground, they usually put multiple grounds. So it's something like you have a one or two positives and there are many grounds, there are many negatives. Just something like, as per your analogy, something like that. So here we have one ground. Really, in the yesterday's session, I already told you. So can you just tell me, Kushmita, ESP32 operates at which voltage reference?
Sir, it operates at 3.3 volt.
Yeah, and Arduino Uno?
It operates at 5 volt.
Fine. So on Arduino Uno, we have an onboard voltage regulator which converts 5 volt into 3.3 volt, right? So basically, we are connecting so many sensors to Arduino, right? Let's say we can connect these analog pins here. We have analog pins, right? So we usually use these analog pins for detecting, for reading values from sensors. So we have different kinds of sensors like a barometric pressure sensor, temperature sensor. So similarly, there are so many sensors. So gyroscopes, inertial measurement units. So like this, we have IR sensor, infrared sensor, ultrasonic sensor. Then we can also build something like ultrasonic object detection or else object avoidance robot. So whatever the values that are being generated by the sensors, that can be read by this Arduino Uno with the help of these analog pins. So these analog pins are dedicated for so receiving data from sensor or else transmitting the data to the sensors. So we have here coming to this side, here we have total 14 pins starting from 0 to 13. Out of these RX and TX, these two pins are specialized pin. We will discuss about this RX and TX later. So pin number 0 is called as RX pin. and pin number 1 is called as TX pin, transmit, and this is receive.